Today we're going to talk about the two-handed backhand kinetic chain, and in particular we're going to talk about my two-handed backhand kinetic chain. I've struggled with my backhand for years. This week we're going to try and work on it a little bit, see if I can make some progress, and in doing so I'm hoping I can also help you with yours. So let's start by talking about what the correct kinetic chain is for the two-handed backhand. Now I think it's useful to grab something like this, something that's got a little bit of weight to it. You could even put some tennis balls in it and just feel like you can swing this freely around your body. Just let it swing, and you'll notice if you're doing anything funky, like you're pulling or you got it too wristy or you're in awkward positions, it's going to feel heavy. We want this to feel as light and as easy to swing as possible. Now, the other day I was working with Jeff Salzenstein, and that was my advice to him. I thought he was pulling the racket into these positions. He was a little tight. So the first thing when I'm on court with people is I'm just asking them to feel like they can swing the racket freely. And then from there, maybe we can add something to that or look at what they are doing to prevent themselves from having this smooth swing. Now for myself, I feel like I'm doing a whole bunch of things that are preventing me from doing this kinetic chain that I know how to do. I can explain it, I can demonstrate it, but when the ball comes, I end up being in a position that's a little bit awkward and I'm pulling it around my body, and it's just not the kinetic chain that I'm looking for. Just one more thing, I want to go into a bit more detail about this kinetic chain and explain that when you take it back, when you take the racket back, we do so with the body, the arm, and then the racket. So that's kind of the sequence. It might not be that elaborate, maybe you feel like you just get it back here, but that's generally the kinetic chain of going body, arm, racket. Into contact, we go body, arm, racket, and after contact, we go racket, arm, body. So that's the sequence of the kinetic chain. Now that happens to be the same on the forehand as well, where we go body, arm, racket, racket, arm, body. Same on the serve, where we're going body, arm, racket, racket, arm, body. Now if we can swing it smoothly on all of these shots, we can start to put right a lot of errors that a lot of people are doing. Now, as I said, for myself, I got to try and figure out what I'm doing with my body to stop myself from just swinging the racket smoothly. And unfortunately, there's a bunch of things. And I feel like everything's locked. So my front foot gets a little sideways, my knee gets a little locked where I feel like I can't turn around it, and my hip gets a little locked. I end up going backwards like this. So now I'm trying to rotate around something that feels like it's just in the way, as opposed to if I keep everything a little bit loose and bent and not locked, I feel like I can rotate around that front leg and turn my shoulders. But I also feel like sometimes my arms get locked. So if my arms get locked, sometimes my wrists get locked, my legs are getting locked. It's really preventing me from just swinging the racket. And you'll see this with, I coach 8-year-olds with better backhands than me because they just take the racket and they just swing it. I was actually telling a friend the other day that he should just, instead of thinking about all this golf technique, he should just swing the club like an 8-year-old. They take it over the shoulder and they just swing it. And the kinetic chain is the same for golf, by the way. It's body, arms, club, body, arms, club, arms, body. So you just got the same kinetic chain. And kids are good at this because they just swing without thinking about all these positions that we're trying to get into that kind of make it a little bit awkward. So I'm going to start hitting now. See if I can keep everything relaxed and just feel like I can swing the racket and not put myself in a position that jeopardizes that. Felt smooth. I struggle when it's a little high though. Like when it's lower, I'm already in this position where my leg's bent, so it's a lot easier for me to turn around. I'm already not going to be locked from that particular joint. I have noticed that my string's open a lot here, my arm's straightened, so I'm going to try to keep the strings closed a little bit, but I think it's more because my arm's straightened. So if I can just keep my wrists my wrists loose, my arms are loose, my front legs loose, and by loose I mean not locked. Here we go. Now personally, And I don't know if this is advice or not, but I want to feel like my wrists are doing a circle and they're loose. I want to feel like my arms are doing a bigger circle and they're loose. They're not getting locked. And I want to feel like I have this weight on my front foot where my knee is not locked and my hip is not locked. So I know there's a lot of things to think about, but really my one thought is don't lock anything, right? Don't lock anything and feel like you can swing the racket. That's all right. Still don't hit it at the mid. Still not at the middle of the racket, which makes me feel like something got locked and pulled the racket offline, because I don't shank my forehands and I don't shank my slices. It's still not at the middle. Awkward, come on. I know I'm always making golf analogies, but it's interesting. I have a friend who's always complimenting me on being on my heel when I'm swinging the club, because that's kind of what you need to do on the golf swing, is to be on this front foot heel. A lot of tennis players struggle with that because you tend to rotate into it and you get on your toes. So you need to be on the heel as you're hitting a golf shot. I do the same thing on my backhand where I'm on the heel here. That is not good for a tennis shot. But it all ties into allowing me to swing the racket, which I did that time. Good. I just want freedom. I want freedom. There we go. Oh, tight. Another thing that's useful to do is to practice when you're doing it wrong, or how you do it wrong. That's kind of how I feel like I naturally swing. So it's kind of good not to do too many of those, but to feel like, you know, what you do when you're doing it wrong, and then try and do one where you do it correctly. That's it. Relax. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you found it useful. After putting this video together and hitting a lot of backhands this week, I've definitely got some more things to talk about, but I'm going to save that for a future video. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. If you're looking to improve your ball striking and consistency on your forehand and your backhand, I've put together a great video. It's free, and you can get it at tpatennis.com/footwork. You'll discover the movement and footwork patterns and exercises that you can do that are going to allow you to make better adjustments as you're moving around the court, hitting your forehands and backhands. You'll also get to see me working with a player, going through the process and seeing how we improve his footwork and balance.